All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully you all can see my screen. Um, what's on my screen is the new election portal that we've created for the Lodge. It's pretty intuitive, um, and hopefully it'll help during this pandemic. A few things that it can do. You can track your unit elections within this portal, and then your unit that you're administering the unit election to has the ability to uh, put in the eligible scouts ahead of the election so you know who will be on the ballot. And then lastly, it can create a voting page where the scouts within the unit are able to go and vote remotely. And the election team has the ability to turn voting on and off so that no one votes more than once. All right, and then lastly, once the election's over, the Lodge has access to the results immediately, and you can import them into Lodge Master, hopefully making it quicker in between when the unit election is finished and when the scouts are able to register for their ordeal. So first, we'll get started. If you want to follow along, you can do it on your screen by watching, or you can go to elections.lodge104.net. This is where the portal is located. All chapter members in the Lodge leadership should create an account. When you create an account, please use the email that the Lodge sends you information to, or whatever email is in Lodge Master. That's how we'll make sure that you're a Lodge member. After you create an account, it'll take up to 12 hours for one of the administrators to approve your account. We have to do that manually. But once it's approved manually, you'll get a notification saying that your account's approved and that you can enter the unit elections portal. I'll go ahead and log in with my account so you can see what it looks like. All right, once you're in, this will be the first page that you see. This is how you know that you're inside. It'll have menu options so that you know what everything does. If you're a chapter advisor or if you're the person who receives the election request from a unit, when you receive a request and you nail down a date for the election with the unit, you can go in this top option, click create unit election. This will come up with a form to put in the unit election. You'll put in the unit number, what kind of unit it is. If you don't know how many registered youths there are in the unit, you can leave that blank and the Scoutmaster can put that in later. Next, there is the date of the unit election that you've established with the unit. And then next, you can put in the chapter that you're from. Lastly, you can put in the unit leader information. Oftentimes you don't know all that information, but you can at least put in the name and their email. So if we need to contact them later, we have that. Additionally, the unit leader is able to go in and put their information in as well after you've created this unit election. So we'll go back and we'll go to the chapter dashboard link. This is the dashboard for all the chapters to see. You'll be able to see all the other chapters' unit elections. We ask that you only edit your chapter's unit election though. So what you see here, first there are some instructions up at the top so that you can see or remember some of the things that this system can do. Next, it'll be sorted by chapter in alphabetical order. So first we have Elwalk and Memohook. These units are test units that we're simply using for training. After today, these will be deleted. So first, it has the unit name, then the date of the election that you established. Next, there's a access key that you'll give to the unit leader when you respond to their request. This access key they'll be able to take, and we'll go to the front page again. And I'll have to log out to see it. On the front page, there's a unit leader login. If they put in the access key that was on the chapter dashboard, then they're able to access the unit leader's unit election dashboard. In here, it looks very similar to what the chapter sees, although some information is hidden. There's instructions for them, as well as the unit's information. They're able to edit a few things, of course, such as the number of youths in the unit and their contact information for the unit leader. Additionally, after the election is over, they're able to see the results. Before the election, this is grayed out and they are not able to click it, obviously, because there's no results yet. But after the election is over, they're able to click view, and the results of who was elected shows up on the unit leader's dashboard. Additionally, they're able to see once the results have been imported to LodgeMaster, it'll show completed, and that way they know that their scouts are able to register for their ordeal. Lastly, it has some information about what the criteria is for an eligible scout, so that they know sort of what the criteria is, of course. They can also pull out a report out of Scout Book that'll show which scouts are eligible. We're still working on a tool to import this, but hopefully that'll be ready sometime soon. We're still trying to work out that that feature, but what we'd like to do in the future is for them to be able to just import those rather than have to go through and type them in. But one thing that they can do now is once they know the eligible scouts, they can put in the information such as their first name, last name, birth, date of birth, BSA ID, and their contact information. Some of it's required, some of it's not required, such as address is not required. That they can input once they register for their ordeal, but information such as their BSA ID are now required. And this will help the lodge once we go to import the data into LodgeMaster, make sure that all the required fields that we need are in there, guaranteed. That way we don't have to come back to you asking for more information. All right, we'll go back to the chapter dashboard. All right, in the chapter dashboard, you have similar options. Of course, I went over what the access key is for the leader. You just send them an access key and you can send them a link to elections.lodge104.net, and there they should be able to put 2 and 2 together. You can also edit the eligible scouts in case the unit leader just sends the eligible scouts to you and doesn't want to deal with the portal. That's fine too. You can go in and do that too. Then we'll skip over the voting link for right now. I'll come back to that in a minute. But you can also edit the election. When you click edit, there are some more options that come up. One is import into LodgeMaster. This is grayed out because you do not have access to edit this. Only the Lodge leadership does. And once we're done importing the results into LodgeMaster, we'll change it to yes. Whereas for a unit that hasn't been imported, it'll say no, of course. Next, there's an option down here. It says voting open. This is how you'll open voting by editing the unit election itself. There's 2 options, of course, no and yes. By default, it's no, but once you're ready to start the election on a Zoom call with the unit, you can switch it to yes. Once you hit yes, the unit will be able to vote at this link, the voting link. So you just hit copy, and then you can send the link to the unit. And this is what each scout will see once they're ready to vote. They'll see the unit number and what type. They'll see information about the unit election, stuff that you should go over as an election team. Once they're ready to vote, they hit I'm ready to vote. Then it just gives them a reminder to vote for only the ones who are worthy of it, not their friends, of course. They can select all, some, or none, and then click submit. Once they hit submit, it'll give them some more information about the OA. And their votes have been submitted. Now, if they were to go back on the same computer or device and try to vote again, it'll say no, you've already voted. You can't do that now. This will prevent people from voting more than once. Additionally, the tally of the number of votes when you refresh the page, if you see it says 5 out of 30 scouts and I refresh the page, it'll say 6 out of 30 have voted. So you know how many have voted. And of course, if the number goes above the number on the Zoom call, you can tell that someone voted more than once, and you can invalidate the election. All right, once election voting is over, you have to remember to go back and turn the voting off. And then when the voting is off and the unit, someone tries to use the voting link, this is in my way. There we go. You'll say, something different. It'll say, voting is not on. Please contact your election team. So once the voting date has passed, and we see that scouts have voted, the lodge leadership will know that the election has already happened and will import the results. And then once the results are imported, the status will change to imported. And if you'd like to see the results as a chapter, you can go to election results and have the access key ready that's listed for the unit, put it in, and you'll be able to see the results. The results are automatically calculated by the system as per the guidelines for what is considered a successful candidate. So there's no need to tally anything. The system will do it for you. And that's pretty much it. Up here where it says system updates, this is where we'll put updates to changes in the system, new things that you can do. A little pop-up thing will show up every time we add something, a new feature of such. Otherwise, things should stay pretty normal. Does anyone have any questions?
We got a couple questions, Nick.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Hyder from Troop 210. We had a guest speaker on tonight's our troop night, so I was a few minutes late getting in. You may have already covered this, and if you did, I'm sorry.
No worries.
How do you handle it? Well, first of all, what was the deal with putting adults in a breakout room? Is that because we don't want them to vote, or what was the purpose of that?
Well, with this new system, you'll no longer have to put adults in a breakout room, as they won't be voting via Zoom. They'll be voting through this system. So
okay,
as long as the link is sent to just the scouts, then they're fine. And as long as you remind adults to not vote, then it's fine.
So we're kind of in the same boat. We'll send this probably to everyone in the troop, and we'll just remind the adults that they're not to vote.
Yeah. So you just send the voting link out to those in the unit who are on the Zoom call, and just say only use vote. Okay.
My second question: what do you do when you have siblings that are on the same computer? How are we handling that?
As long as they open in a different browser or they open in incognito, they're able to vote more than once. The way this works is that it puts a cookie on the browser. So as long as you use a different browser, or they could use their phone or a parent's phone, the site is mobile friendly. I'm fairly confident most households have more than one device that can access the internet. So as long as they use a different device or a different browser, they'll be able to vote separately.
Is there an option? Because when we talked about this the other day, we talked about maybe submitting it through a message to the leader, whatever. We're going to try to get away from that and strictly do the separate device thing. I mean, I agree. Anybody who's logged on to Zoom probably has multiple accounts, but we'll just need to specify that, I guess, in the initial communication with the troop, that if there are siblings, each one will need to get on a separate device in order to vote. Is that basically how we're going to handle it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. All right. That's all I have for now.
Okay. Currently, the system is optional. It's just a tool for chapters to use, but we highly encourage it as the results are automatically sent to us, and there's really no paperwork to do after the unit election's over. Additionally, the system does not have the ability yet to do adult nominations. That's something that we're still working on, but hopefully with after the summer, it'll be able to do adult nominations. Just a note that the Lodge Master team on the national level is working on a similar system, a unit election system. They're showcasing it at NOAC. However, they have historically been inaccurate in their timelines, and systems that they showcase are often not ready for a few more years. So the Lodge has decided to go ahead and start building our own system. In the meantime, I've been told that the Lodge Master system will hopefully look very similar to this one, so it shouldn't be a difficult transition for chapters to switch over once it's ready. We'll continue to build improvements into this, and any feedback you guys have once you start using it would be greatly appreciated. If you run into problems while you're using it, in the bottom right hand corner, there's a live chat feature. Any issues that you have, just send a message and we'll usually respond within a few minutes and can oftentimes help you live as you're doing a unit election. So that's a feature for you guys to utilize. Does anyone else have any more questions?
So Nick, this is Brian, Mr. Lurchell. Is the Lodge envisioning using this on a more permanent basis for chapters, or is this just a temporary deal?
So once we no longer do virtual elections, we'd like to transition to using this full-time in some manner. Come next election season, once elections start to pick up again, we'll have to change some things in order to, rather than doing voting through the system, we'll have to give another option to just input the results after the election is done in person. That's something that we is on our to-do list to add to this. Additionally, it is mobile friendly, so units that have scouts that all have a cell phone and let their scouts use their cell phone, they're able to vote through the system on their phone. So if they want to do it virtually. Additionally, we've considered possibly setting up like laptops, letting the chapters bring laptops to unit elections, and just having a voting station. That's another option that we've considered. These are all things that we're thinking about, but at the very least, we'll be adding the ability to just mark who was elected, and that way the results are sent to us immediately and very efficiently. Any more questions?
Nick, how does that voting link go out? Is there a thing, maybe I don't understand in Zoom, or is it coming out through Zoom that you're sending out the link, or are you sending it back to the leader that signed up for the thing and then they get it out to everybody?
So it's really up to the chapter on how they want to handle that. The voting link is available as soon as you create the unit election within the portal.
Okay.
When you respond to the unit leader with the access code for them to input their eligible scouts, you can also send them the voting link at the same time and say, once we're ready to start voting, this is the link that your scouts will go to vote.
Okay.
Or when you're on the Zoom meeting, you can just use the chat feature and say, here's the link, and tell the scouts, go to the chat feature, find the link, and then start voting.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And it's just remember, once it is time to start voting, to go back in and switch voting from no to yes. And that way it'll start. Yep.
Nick, I got another question.
Yep.
The thing Will and I talked about yesterday was setting up our virtual election teams and then running some mock virtual elections with basically all of our election teams logging on through Zoom or whatever.
Mhm.
Are we have you thought about doing that here so we can just practice more?
Yeah, you guys are more than welcome to all the election teams, anyone in your chapter who participates in a unit election. They're more than welcome to go and create an account in here, as they'll be administering elections, so they should have access to this. They just create an account and then we'll approve it. Remember, it takes at least 12 hours for us to manually approve them, so they should do that ahead of time. And then once your unit election teams have access to the system, you guys can go in and create create mock elections. Just make the unit number something that, you know, 0000. And that way we'll know that it's not a real unit. You guys can do that. There currently is not a way to delete an election. But if you just message us with the live chat feature and say, hey, we made a test unit and we're done with it, can you just delete it? And we'll delete it on the back end.
10-4.
Yep. Any more questions?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, if you guys come up with any, again, you can use the live chat feature within the portal. The link to get to the portal is elections.lodge104.net. Your next task is probably to go create an account, and we'll approve them, and then you guys can start using the system. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining the training. This recording will be posted on the same page on the website where you found the information to register. It'll be posted there, so if you need to go back and rewatch it or share it with any members of your chapter, or even another chapter, you can send them there to watch this. All right. Thanks again for joining, and have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.